and welcome to Heidi's Fish Tank. I wanted to talk about a little bit of a controversial topic today that I think there's just a lot of misinformation about. So if you couldn't tell by the title or the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking today about something called Glofish. You may recognize Glofish from my top 5 fish beginners should avoid for a nano tank. And I said that I think that Glofish should be avoided in that video for a nano tank. It seems like there's a lot of misinformation out there about Glofish in the public and also on forums, particularly people that come from countries that don't have Glofish, or even say California where they don't have Glofish either. There's just a lot of misinformation out there, and we're going to talk about what Glofish are and what Glofish aren't in this video. So the first thing I want to say is if you're brand new, I'm just going to start saying this in every single video. Check out my nitrogen cycle video. If you've never kept fish before, I think everyone should watch that. Moving right along, I will have it linked down below and here. Moving right along, so there are three or four, it depends on how you want to classify it, different kinds of Glofish. There is the Glofish danio, the Glofish tetra, the long skirt Glofish tetra, which is why I say kind of four, and then the Glofish tiger barbs, which are relatively new. You might not have seen them yet. Some places don't have them yet. They come in a variety of colors, and as you can imagine, they're really cool looking, and they particularly appeal to kids. I know a lot of the people that watch this channel do so because they found me through my parenting channel, Heidi Kim TV, or my vlogging channel, Sudden Kimpact. And I know a lot of you have kids, and kids love Glofish, but a lot of people think of Glofish as really cruel. And I think that most people who think Glofish are cruel are people who don't know what Glofish are. So back in the 90s, when I was keeping fish as a kid, I really wanted fish that were these kind of fluorescent, really cool colors too. And back then they had painted glass fish. You can still find these in places, although I don't know anywhere locally that sells them at all anymore. So as you can see, they have that fluorescent color similar to Glofish, but they are a little bit different. There's a variety of different kinds of fish that were kind of painted, as it were, from blood parrots and cichlids to tetras. I mean, all kinds. I'll insert a bunch of different pictures. And those fish are kind of problematic. For starters, they are not born with that color. Painted fish, any of those in the category, but I'm going to be talking mostly about painted glass fish because that is what I used to see commonly, are fish that are born their natural color and then tattooed, dyed, painted, and the whole process is really cruel. A good number of the fish die. If the fish do breed again, their babies are not born that color, and it damages the fish. So it severely shortens their lifespan, the ones that do survive, and the color doesn't remain. So even if the fish lives for a long time, you're eventually going to have just a plain fish that doesn't even have the color. So if you don't even care about, you know, kind of the cruelty of it all and the fact that, you know, your fish might not live very long, if you don't care about any of that, you're still paying for something that you're not even going to be able to see the color on forever. So those fish had a very bad rap, and a lot of people, I think rightfully, don't like that those fish exist. I don't like that those fish exist. I don't think that people should own them. I think that it's cruel, and I think people are legit in that. There's a difference though. Glofish look like this. And as you can see, unlike say the painted glass fish where there's a stripe, the Glofish glow all over. Glofish are born that color. If they breed true. They stay that color the entire time. But they did not occur naturally. So here's the story of Glofish. It all started with a zebra danio. Zebra danios are very, very hardy aquarium fish. And basically the idea was to get a zebra danio to glow when it recognizes pollutants. So the first step in order to do this in the pollution research was to make it so that the danio glowed all of the time. And they did this by modifying its DNA and splicing its genes with, I believe the first one was jellyfish genes. They've also gone on to do it some with coral genes as well, depending on the color of the fish. And they came out with this danio that glows this really bright color, but it did it all of the time. So that started as this kind of research. The thing that's really interesting about it is that they realized, hey, there's a market for this on the aquarium trade, the aquarium fish, so maybe we should sell this, especially since unlike these painted fish, it doesn't damage their life, it's not cruel, and they stay this color. People like colorful things in their tank. Most people, when they go to the fish store, they're like, I want that one, and I want all these different colors. So they started selling Glofish zebra danios, and they, I think, patented it or copyrighted it. I'm pretty sure it's a patent. I don't know how those things work. But they patented it and said, nobody's allowed to breed this fish unless you are doing so through Glofish. And you have to be approved to sell the Glofish danios. It became very popular and it did very, very well. And after that, they started developing all kinds of different colors. So they started splicing the DNA with coral to get all sorts of different colors. And then they're like, well, what are some other really hardy, good beginner aquarium fish? Because most people who get Glofish are me, you know, they're moms that have small kids, that kind of thing. It's usually a good, like, first fish. They basically made it so you can't breed Glofish unless you are associated with Glofish, and you can't sell Glofish unless you're an approved vendor. So there's lots of approved vendors. Most big box stores like Petco and PetSmart and Walmart. I should do another video about Walmart and fish. All sell Glofish, but also a lot of local stores sell them. I know that my local fish stores are Glofish approved and sell Glofish as well. So anyways, after that, they also developed the tetra and most recently the tiger barb in all kinds of different colors as well. And all three of these fish have a couple of things in common. The first is that they're very hardy, good beginner fish. When I said that they aren't good for nano tanks, I will get into that in a minute. That's true, but I do think that they are very, very good for beginners. You know, I had a skirt tetra that, seriously, we had no idea what we were doing in the 90s, and the skirt tetras always survived much better, as well as the barbs. These are very, very hardy fish, and basically, in terms of the difference between a skirt tetra and a Glofish tetra, or a skirt tiger barb and a regular tiger barb or danio, is the color. In terms of hardiness, they're about as hardy. I have heard some people say that they're a little bit less hardy because their genes are a little weak, which I'm thinking is to do with the fact that they most likely had to use albino fish in order to get this, and a lot of times the albino fish don't have quite as strong genes. But honestly, in my opinion, I think that Glofish are really very, very hardy. For me, the only controversy that I really see with Glofish, there are people who won't buy them because they are genetically modified. So you have to decide what you think about GMOs. For me personally, that issue is a non-issue for me. I don't think that Glofish is cruel at all. My concern with Glofish is, one, I think it's kind of messed up that they don't let other people breed them. I understand it, right? But, you know, I understand why store owners would be annoyed with that. And then the second thing that that I personally have a bigger problem with Glofish is that Glofish then started marketing tanks. They started marketing all kinds of equipment and decor. Glofish look really cool under a black light, so they started marketing Glofish lights and black substrate and Glofish with little flecks of colorful substrate in there, gravel basically, and all kinds of different decor that look really cool under the black light and that are supposed to make the Glofish pop even more. And a lot of people don't like the look of really quote-unquote unnatural looking tanks. Personally, I just think it's personal preference. If you don't like the look of it, that's fine, but I really don't think that the fish care that much. Your life is going to be easier if you have live plants versus, you know, a glowing plant. In terms of decor, that part doesn't bother me. But they also started selling tanks, Glofish branded tanks. And in my opinion, no Glofish branded tank that I have seen for sale is really very appropriate for any of the Glofish type of fish. All Glofish, tetras, barbs, and danios are schooling fish, and they do best when kept in large quantities. They're not huge fish, but they do get a little bit bigger than, say, something like, you know, a chili rasbora or something like that. I would not consider them nano fish. And some of these Glofish tanks go all the way down to, I think, like 1.5 gallons. And personally, I wouldn't even want to keep a betta in that. You can watch my Betta 101 video. But I definitely would not want to keep any of the Glofish brand fish in a 1.5 gallon tank. And I think the largest tank that Glofish makes is 10 gallons. And I might be willing to keep a school of Glofish danios in a 10-gallon Glofish tank, but the majority of people aren't going to buy these fish in the correct quantity. They do best in larger groups, especially the barbs. The barbs get very aggressive if they're in really small groups because they don't feel safe. And so for me, I would really want larger tanks than what Glofish is selling in order to keep the fish kind of successfully, keep them from picking on each other. And that's the part, and the other thing is that the Glofish tanks are very expensive compared to some other tanks. Like, yes, you could get a Glofish 10-gallon tank, but it's super pricey. Or you could get something like a Great Choice 10-gallon tank with the filter and the lid and the light and all that. It won't have a black light, but you could get that for $29 full price. And so, and even then I wouldn't really want to keep any of the Glofish fish in it. So that is my only problem with Glofish. But I think the fish themselves are pretty cool. And I think especially if you have kids like I do, I think that they make really great fish. The only thing that I would say is that the barbs and the skirt tetras do get a little aggressive, especially if the school isn't big enough. And nippy. So I wouldn't want to keep them with like anything with long flowing fins. And the biggest thing is that I would want to keep a large school of them. But overall, that's kind of my opinion of the Glofish controversy, as it were. I think overall they're pretty cool fish, and I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there about them. But I'd love to hear from you guys down below. What do you think about Glofish? Glofish specifically. Would you buy them? Do you have any problems with them? Do you think that they're ethical? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. If you're new around here, hit the bell and hit the subscribe button. Whenever you hit the bell, you get automatic notifications, and getting those notifications, if you click on one of them, that helps me out. YouTube's like, oh, Heidi is bringing people to YouTube. Let's promote her stuff more, which is great. So hit the bell next to the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.